Today, we're going to do something a little different. We are rebooting how you think about your own body. Seriously, forget flesh and blood for a minute and let's take a look at the elegant, super sophisticated machine that's humming away just beneath the surface.
So let me just ask you this. What if your body wasn't just, a body? What if it was a highly advanced self-repairing machine? The most incredible piece of hardware that's been in development for millions of years. Let's really dig into that idea. So let's call it what it is, the biological robot. It's this incredibly sophisticated machine with one main purpose, to be the vehicle for you, for your consciousness. It's hands down the most advanced hardware you will ever own.
Okay, you with me? Let's dive in. First up, your body, the robot. We're going to explore a completely new way to look at yourself. All right, so every great machine is made of key components, right? So it's time for a super quick tour of your internal hardware. Let's start with the big one, the command center, your nervous system. Think of your brain as a central processing unit, the CPU, making all the big decisions. And your nerves, that's all the wiring, zapping electrical signals instantly across the entire machine. Next up, the structure itself. Your skeletal system is the robot's chassis, its frame. It provides this strong, rigid protection for all the delicate parts inside. And the muscular system, that's what gives you motion. These are your actuators, basically the motors and pistons that pull on that frame to create every single movement you make. Okay, but what powers this thing? Well, your digestive system is the fuel intake and refinery. It breaks down food into usable energy. But to actually burn that fuel, you need oxygen. And that's where the respiratory system comes in. It's the air intake that powers the whole machine. So you've got the fuel, you've got the oxygen. How do you get it where it needs to go? That's the job of the circulatory system, a massive network of pipelines. Your heart is the central pump pushing all those critical resources through blood vessels and, get this, it even helps regulate the machine's internal temperature, kind of like a coolant system. And look, any high-tech machine needs a solid defense system, right? And a maintenance crew. Your immune system is the onboard self-repair crew, constantly on patrol, neutralizing any invaders. And your skin? That's the protective exterior shell, keeping all that amazing internal hardware safe from the outside world. Finally, let's talk about the less glamorous but absolutely essential stuff, cleanup and regulation. The urinary system is your waste management department, filtering out byproducts to keep the whole internal environment squeaky clean. And the endocrine system? That acts as the chemical regulator, using hormones to manage long-term processes like growth and mood, keeping the entire machine in perfect balance. All right, so we've toured the hardware. We get the basic model. But now for the really fun part, Level 1 upgrades. What if we could install some simple DNA switches to make things better? Forget about complex, scary-sounding bioengineering for a second. Let's just think of this as flipping a few simple DNA switches. Like software updates for our biological hardware. Simple patches to improve performance. And we're not talking about creating superhumans here. Nothing crazy. This is all about upgrading your human OS to solve really common everyday problems. First up, an upgrade for the nervous system. A pain threshold regulator. The concept is actually really simple. You just flip a genetic switch that tells your body to slightly increase its default pain tolerance. So what does that actually feel like? Well, it means the next time you get a paper cut or stub your toe, you'd still feel it. You'd know it happened. But that blinding, sharp spike of suffering, it would just be dampened. The system registers the error message without that debilitating, screaming alarm. Okay, what about an upgrade for the chassis, the skeleton? Let's call it a rapid calcium fix sequence. This switch would basically make the proteins responsible for bone repair way more efficient, kicking into high gear the moment a fracture is detected. Just stop and think about the implications of that for a second. What if you could heal a major bone break in a matter of days, instead of weeks or even months? The amount of pain, immobility, and just general life disruption that would save? It's immense. And for the actuators, our muscles? How about a lactic acid neutralizer? You know that deep soreness you get after a really tough workout? That's lactic acid. This upgrade would switch on an enzyme that just rapidly clears it out. The result? Way faster recovery and a lot less suffering after you exercise.
Okay, now let's upgrade our defense systems. And I want you to just really think about this for a moment. Imagine a life without the misery of the common cold. It sounds so simple, but what a truly revolutionary change that would be to our daily lives. So, how would we do it? With a low-level virus recognition accelerator. This little switch would help your immune system's T cells identify and just annihilate common cold viruses within hours, not days. It would basically defeat the cold before you even knew you had it. Or hey, how about this one for the millions of us who absolutely dread allergy season, an airway inflammatory dampener? This switch would just slightly dial back the inflammatory response to common irritants like pollen or dust. You could massively reduce the misery of allergies without actually compromising your immune function. A total game changer. So, all of this, all these ideas, it brings us to the final question. Where do we go from here?
Everything we've talked about today, we've really only scratched the surface. These were all just level 1 upgrades, small, elegant tweaks designed to reduce common suffering and increase the efficiency of our biological robot. These are the most basic patches we could possibly imagine.
And that leaves us with this one last thought. If this is what's possible at level 1, with just a few simple DNA switches, what in the world would level 10 look like?